Уважаемые участники.
Умение ставить разумные вопросы есть уже важный и необходимый признак ума или проницательности. Иммануил Кант. В 2024 году весь мир отмечает 300-летие великого философа. Иммануил Кант – одна из центральных фигур эпохи Просвещения. Его идеи оказали влияние на многие сферы науки и общественной жизни. Они актуальны и сегодня. Россия чтит мировое наследие. В 2021 году Владимир Путин подписал указ о праздновании 300-летия со дня рождения Иммануила Канта. Президент России Владимир Путин. Кант, конечно, это один из самых великих мыслителей, фундаментальный мыслитель. И, конечно, его призыв «жить своим умом», он как нельзя актуален сегодня. Мы так и стараемся делать. Создан оргкомитет под руководством вице-премьера Дмитрия Чернышенко. В городе Канта развернулся настоящий праздник философии. Организованы многочисленные юбилейные мероприятия. Ядро юбилея – Международный Кантовский конгресс «Мировое понятие философии». В процессе подготовки к юбилею, опираясь на традицию, ученые по-новому взглянули на отдельные стороны философии Канта. Издан академический трехтомник трудов мыслителя и 6 приложений в виде отдельных книг. Реализуется первый в истории России мегагрант по философии. Ученые Балтийского федерального создали виртуальную вселенную Иммануила Канта. Она откроет вам Кёнигсберг XVIII века, познакомит с излюбленными маршрутами философа и позволит встретить самого Канта, Карамзина и других представителей той эпохи. Создан Кант-бот – нейросеть, способная поддержать беседу на философские темы. Знаменитые ученые и культурные деятели России вместе с Кант-ботом провели дебаты о проблемах искусственного интеллекта через призму кантовской философии. За дебатами наблюдали более 700 российских и иностранных участников Всемирного фестиваля молодежи. 1 миллион просмотров онлайн. Помимо этого, проведены более 30 научных, общественных и культурных мероприятий. Празднование юбилея великого философа нашло отражение в телевизионных передачах и ярких арт- и медиапроектах. Город Канта подготовился к 300-летию знаменитого философа. Университет Канта чествует своего патрона и принял гостей Конгресса из разных концов мира. Готовы? Тогда поехали!
Для оглашения приветствия президента Российской Федерации Владимира Путина приглашается заместитель председателя правительства России.
Deputy Chair of the Government of the Russian Federation, Dmitry Chernyshenko, will read the welcome address from the President of the Russian Federation, Mr. Putin.
Уважаемые друзья, приветствую участников и гостей.
Dear friends, I greet the participants and guests of the International Congress dedicated to the 300th anniversary of the birth of Immanuel Kant. The initiative to widely celebrate this significant date has received active support both in our country and abroad. This is a clear evidence of the undying interest in the personality of a brilliant and unique thinker in his philosophical works, which remain relevant today.
Продолжает вдохновлять новые
They continue to inspire new generations of scientists to think deeply and meaningfully.
Считываю, что юбилейный
I hope that the anniversary events will serve to preserve the rich spiritual and humanistic heritage of Immanuel Kant.
его работ
Further study of his works, which became a real breakthrough for his time,
в развитии
an invaluable contribution to the development of scientific thought, culture, and enlightenment.
Конгресса с участием
And what is important, within the framework of your Congress, with the participation of representatives of different countries, academic disciplines, and philosophical schools, you will be able to discuss key global problems and trends, issues of strengthening international cooperation in the humanitarian sphere, promoting philosophical science and education.
и всего
I wish you success and all the best. Vladimir Putin.
Государственный гимн Российской Федерации. Просим всех
Please rise for the national anthem of the Russian Federation.
Уважаемые коллеги,
Esteemed colleagues,
открытие Международного кантовского
we open the International Kant Congress, and I would like to give the floor to the governor of the hospitable Kaliningrad region, Anton Alikanov.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья, уважаемые Дмитрий
Good morning, dear guests. Dmitry Nikolaevich, colleagues, I'd like to welcome you here
Иммануил Кант
on the
родился
soil of Immanuel Kant, who was born here 300 years ago, on this day in the city of Königsberg, now Kaliningrad. I would like to wish you all fruitful work on this Congress.
3 дня, но
We planned to hold it only for 3 days, but we have a lot of guests, outstanding scientists, that we decided to
много планировано.
make this Congress,
Вы оцените наше гостеприимство.
to hold this Congress for 4 days. We will do everything possible so it would be convenient for you to work here, so that you would be able to visit interesting places of our region where Immanuel Kant was. So this is
Много мест, конечно.
priest's house in the Chernigovsk municipality and in Kaliningrad, which are connected with the life of this great philosopher.
Трона.
We here appreciate
Величайший
and respect the patron of our university, the greatest thinker who influenced
страны, в том
the
числе.
history of our country as well. He is part of history of our great state, and I believe we will talk about this today too. Thank you very much. I wish you success, and thank you very much.
занятия.
Thank you,
Коллеги, а мы переходим
colleagues.
к пленарному заседанию.
We now get to our plenary session. I would like to say that we have a lot of anticipations because
Конгресс
the rector said
ехала
that
представители 20
representatives from 23 countries
участников.
came to Congress, 77 international participants, so it shows that the Congress is very interesting for others. We will be discussing different topics and the critique of artificial intelligence
Дмитрий Чернышенко.
and others. My name is Dmitry Chernyshenko. I'm Deputy Chair of the Government of the Russian Federation, and I'm responsible for science, development of science, education, digital
Не связано.
education, and including artificial intelligence. So I understand many things connected with telecommunications. So forgive me if I say something wrong in philosophy, but speaking about artificial intelligence, I will be objective. So I would like to give the floor
Науки и высшего образования Федерации.
to the Deputy Minister of Science and Higher Education of the Russian Federation, Mr. Konstantin Mogilevsky.
Высшей школы экономики
Director of the Higher School of Economy, Nikita Anisimov.
Балтийского федерального.
Director of the Immanuel Kant Baltic Federal University, Alexander Fedorov.
Директора Института
Director of
Рутюна Ишхановича Витисяна.
the
Президента
Ivannikov Institute,
исследования Санджой Джоши.
President of the Observer Research Foundation, Sanjoy Joshi,
Российского государства
and Director of
Юрьевича Пищулина.
Mr. Pishulin, Director of the Federal Center for Humanitarian Practices of the Russian State
Уважаемые
University for the Humanities. Esteemed colleagues, we have a very interesting people in the panel. They are all experts, and I've been told that 70% of the audience are specialists in the field of philosophy. That's quite a high number. And celebrating the 300th anniversary
Иммануила Канта.
of Immanuel Kant
Случайно вы видите,
is held here not accidentally. You saw this in the video. On the initiative of our president, there was a special decree,
организация это
and I was appointed responsible for organization of this project. In January, on All Students' Day, our president Vladimir Putin visited the Kaliningrad region and was
федерального университета.
at Baltic Federal University. He met
Тогда
students of
что
different educational institutions in Russia, and then he said that Kant was one of the greatest thinkers, and he always called for living with one's own mind. It's especially
должна жить своим
urgent for us now. The country should live on using its own mind and to be guided by its national interests. And of course, Kant is part of our Russian history. He lived all his life in this city. He taught here, and his genius is a source of looking for answers for difficult questions. And we have a lot of difficult questions in our society today. And it's very symbolic that today here in Baltic Federal University, we have one of the biggest Kant conferences where more than 500 scientists have met. And we decided to start the program with a topic which is very topical today, and it would be very interesting for Kant, I believe, if he were with us today. And here I'm talking about artificial intelligence. It's impossible to think about today's world without artificial intelligence. It gives a multiplicative effect in all fields of economy and in all industries. We can see that neural networks are drivers of growth in different economies. This is smart devices, robototechnics, machinery, etc. So usage of artificial intelligence is, of course, a new civilization stage in the development of mankind, which opens great perspectives, but on the other hand, as any greatest technology has some dark sides. Artificial intelligence is developing very quickly, and there might be a moment when neural networks may imitate human speech, make realistic images and content, and significantly influence our society. And we see that there is a race in the world for technological competitiveness, and more than 60 countries, including Russia, of course, have developed or are developing their national strategies of developing of AI, because it qualitatively changes business models in the economy, speed ups the development of economy, makes new jobs, etc. Experts believe that the total contribution of AI technologies to global economy by 2030 will be more than 15
Это гигантская.
trillion dollars. This is a very big sum, and we can't ignore this. The International Monetary Fund believes that among developed economies, the part of jobs which will be supported by AI accounts for 60%. That's a great number. For developing economies, 40%.
Конечно, и на социальных настроениях.
And it, of course, influences social
70,
moods. More than 73% all over the world
мягко говоря, озабочен
are worried, so to say, because of potential risks connected with AI.
людей.
First of all, they are worried about
Это человечество.
the fact that artificial intelligence is substituting human labor, and there is an issue of finding jobs, and there is also some fear because of security or threat to security, because of very rapid growth of the content which can be used for deep fake and some other things, and of course destructive influence of AI technology in the military field.
Страшно.
And we used to hear about that in some science fiction, but nowadays that artificial intelligence conquers humanity. But on the other hand, this is a growing trend. So we have to think how to make this technology controllable, reliable, and safe.
Опыт.
So scientific revolutions have given some solutions to the humankind through some regulation, through the development of this regulation, and one of them is aimed at the growth of trust to new developments when the risk
Убыточными запретами, которые замедляют темпы технологического развития.
of
Не был принят.
So, in our country in 2022, we passed a code of ethics in the AI field. More than 360 companies and
Включая 26
state structures, including 26 foreign organizations, joined together, or united together. There is also a special commission of experts from business and the state for efficient implementation of this code.
в марте 10
In March this year, 10 Russian organizations signed a declaration for responsible development and usage the services of generative artificial intelligence. That was this declaration united the standards for the developers and users of generative AI. And of course, there is an important ethnical regulator of technical progress, and it is our
и культура.
Russian historical and cultural heritage. These are traditional values, moral orientiers which form the world vision of our citizens. We have a special decree about values
Гуманизм.
of humanism, respect for human life, cultural values in our multinational and multi-religious country. Of course, it all should be considered during these artificial intelligence developments. The key document, this is National Strategy of Development of Artificial Intelligence until 2030. You can see 8 tasks within the strategy. You can see them on the screen. There are also 10 indicators which will help to evaluate the effectiveness of this strategy implementation. One of them, for example, is that aggregate capacity of computers must increase
Числа.
not less than 10 times. And one of the key indicators is, of course,
Роста.
the achievement of growth of our GDP by 11.2 trillion rubles due to technologies with artificial intelligence. You understand the scale of this influence. We expect that Russia will continue to be among the leaders of these technologies, and in 2030 will be within 5 top countries who develop these technologies. And we hope to achieve this due to development of some regulations of usage of artificial intelligence.
Подход, когда мы применяем тестирование
The approach in regulation has, which we apply, has proven its efficiency.
систем,
We have introduced some of them in aviation, in healthcare system, and of course we will continue developing that. And of course, development of artificial intelligence and technology and their application in the near future will be factors which will surely influence the balance of power in the world. And that's why we will continue to increase our positions or to strengthen our positions in developing these technologies. And it's very important for us to provide their safe application and the protection of interests of people. And a humanistic approach is one of the priorities. That's why we are discussing this topic here on the
отметил
300th anniversary of Immanuel Kant. And as our president said, that in the age of technological revolution, it is cultural and spiritual heritage. Heritage is a key factor of preserving national identity and diversity of our world. I'm using quotations which are very close to those which you can read in Kant's works. We will get back to them in our work now. I'm finishing my speech.
но жанру
And
использовать определенные
we should use certain interactive, and we have seen that a lot of language generative models are developing in the world. And as I said, Russia is one of the leaders in developing these models. And today we will have a kind of battle of our models. This is Giga Chat from Sber
Яндекс,
and Yandex GPT. There are some other networks.
ролики,
So you've just seen in the video that there is a development which appeared within this university. This is Kant Bot. It's based on a large language model which is in Russian, English, and German. So
этот момент был.
I believe,
Давайте зададим моделям один вопрос.
and I would like to ask just one question to our models and to compare the answers, because each of these systems was told on different databases. So their answers will be different, and it's very interesting for us to compare them. For a fair competition, we gave the same role to those systems. Their role is philosopher Immanuel Kant. The context was a presentation before an audience on the
Нейросети.
occasion of the 300th anniversary. So what the question was,
Поймем, что
what each of you would like to say on this occasion. So
звучит вопрос.
the question is, can artificial intelligence
И найти способы совершенствовать себя как
understand oneself and to develop oneself as it is peculiar to a human being?
промпт, философ.
So here we have the text of request, role, context,
И вопрос.
and the question.
Может ли интеллект
Can artificial intelligence understand oneself and find the ways to develop oneself as it is peculiar to human beings? Artificial intelligence is capable of self-analysis and developing their algorithm, but doesn't have any abilities to self-understanding and self-improving as a human being can.
Как философ, я считаю
As a philosopher, I believe that artificial intelligence can
себя
understand oneself and find the ways to develop oneself, but it will be different from the way a human being does that. People understand their thoughts and feelings, while artificial intelligence can analyze algorithm and data for improving its work.
я считаю,
I believe that AI, as any other kind of intelligence, can understand oneself only within the framework of one's own programs and algorithm. However, I don't believe that it will be able to achieve such level of self-cognition and self-development as people. A human being has ability to self-defining and free will, which cannot be implemented in AI. So we can see three different opinions, but they are to some degree similar. So the answer from Kant-Bot is the only one which says that a human being can understand oneself, but cannot achieve the level of human beings. I have another surprise. In March, at the International Festival of Youth in Sirius in Sochi, we held show debates, critique of artificial intelligence, or a night with Immanuel Kant, where outstanding philosophers answered the questions on different value dilemmas. And within this debate, there was a prize to come here to International Kant Congress. And in the hall today, we have the winner of that contest. Dina, Regina, could you please rise? We understand that there is nothing coincidental in our life. Dina is a press secretary of the Ministry for Emergency Situation in Murmansk region. And Kant-Bot chose her. We don't know why, so we have kept our promise. So you have come here, and thank you for the development of our country. Dina, it's not coincidental. Philosophers will think about this in their way. Can you answer, which answer of those three do you like the most?
Участников фестиваля, конгресса, прошу прощения, тоже приветствую. Но поскольку
I'd like to welcome the participants of the Congress. As far as Kant-Bot chose me, it would be strange if I would give my vote to Kant-Bot. So,
Ну, честно говоря,
okay.
формулировка была более расширенная, и хотя честный конкурс.
That was a fair contest. Thank you. I believe that your assessment will be good for the development. Now, I would like to address the whole. Let's work as a team. I'd like to show the QR code on the screen
Для голосования
for voting.
будет интеллект на
And the question is
возможны.
artificial intelligence a threat or an opportunity? So, using this QR code, you can give your answer. So, whether it's a threat or an opportunity, and the results we will have at the end of our discussion. So, colleagues, I'm finishing my speech, and now we are getting to some real things. I'm sure that we will have a very interesting discussion, and as far as we have, our first speaker is Anton, the governor, Anton Alikanov. We know that the Kaliningrad region is one of the fastest growing regions of the Russian Federation, especially in the field of IT. And Immanuel Kant once differentiated between some categories of thought: quality, quantity, and modality. It would be very interesting to see how it is correlated with neural networks teaching nowadays, and how Kant's philosophy can be applied to the technologies of development of artificial intelligence.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to start speaking about the role of Immanuel Kant in our modern life. And certainly I will speak about these Kantian issues and how they can be applied to artificial intelligence. But first I would like to give some historical, kind of to take historical journey. We are now in the point of development when so Russia was not thinking about celebrating of the Kant's anniversary, and so Russia has got quite bad well, publicity in the world now, but and of course there was not very many there were not very many thoughts about celebrating Kant's anniversary. So, but we think that it's really important to celebrate philosophy as the respect to other people, because since Socrates' times we have been thinking that philosophy is the way of interpreting our reality, is a way of constructing a dialogue. And we are to construct the dialogue with the philosopher and to pay respect to him. So of course we are not going to turn the philosopher into a golden idol, and so we are not going to speak only correctly about this philosopher, because that will be the disrespect to the philosopher. And we understand that we have to pay tribute to Immanuel Kant, and his philosophical legacy deserves all the respect as well. So the second reason for us to celebrate his anniversary is, that Immanuel Kant is a real symbol of our region and of our university, and he has to know what he inherited, or what we inherited from him. So of course our reaction to Immanuel Kant has been very contradictory, and so when we think historically about the role of Immanuel Kant, we can recall the 7 years war between Russia and Germany, and if the war had ended differently, what would have been his legacy, and what would have we inherited from that time. So now we understand that our enemies try to use Kant as the some sort of pretext and different argument against Russia, and it means that we have to revisit and reassess the legacy that we have from Immanuel Kant. So we understand that philosophers are not good with their answers, but with their questions, but with their answers. And we remember 4 questions from Immanuel Kant: what can I know, what can I hope, and what do I have to do, and what is a human? And these are the questions that we have to find some answers to. So, and if we think about artificial intelligence, of course it's about the fear, and we can have the same set of questions when we think about AI. Apart from technological issues, we have to ask, what can artificial intelligence know, what can it do, how can it hope? And so you see that chatbot expressed some hope for the development, and but I'm not sure that it will reach the level of human mind development. So I'm not sure myself, because I think that it's pretty realistic. So the hope is pretty realistic, but at the same time, I would be very scared to see it myself. And the final question: what is the artificial intelligence? So a human being is a moral thing, and can we see some morality in artificial intelligence? And when it becomes a strong artificial intelligence, when it becomes a strong entity, so does it have to take the same guidelines as the human moral values? So then probably when it reaches the highest levels of development, then so we have to accept it as the ethical system, and we have to think that it has got the same values that human beings have. But we understand that human communities always, very often fight with each other. And does it mean that artificial intelligence is going to fight with humans? And then we have to develop some legal guidelines and legal regulations to the artificial intelligence. So, so these are the issues that are raised when we think about when we think about replacement, or how artificial intelligence is going to replace the human ones, or when we think about some hybrid entities, the hybrid or mix of artificial intelligence and human one. Yeah, so, but then, what then will we see how can we paraphrase the famous Kant's phrase? Two things fill my mind with ever-increasing wonder and awe. The more and more intensively the reflection dwells on them. The starry heavens above me, but the telecommunication satellite network above me, and AI within me. Well, so we very often quote Immanuel Kant and his
Разум он ограничен.
he has got a lot of good words. He said a lot of good words about the human mind, but now we understand that human mind cannot hold everything that is possible for cognition. And we think that artificial intelligence can help us contain everything, because artificial intelligence has got more capacities, and we understand that the human beings will become much better developed with the help of artificial intelligence. But of course, it brings us lots of other challenges and issues. So I will probably stop here because, I will try to stay within the official position and official guidelines. Yeah. So, but when we think about some limitations to human mind, there are different opinions, which are voiced by the other participants of our conference, and some of them say that the artificial intelligence hasn't reached even the frontier of human capacity. So, so we can say that it is so. We can see the increase of different fields, labor fields, work fields, which incorporate artificial intelligence. We see the cooperation between some companies, technological companies, and research institutions, which require some new skills with the people who are ready to be employed for them. And that is why so we will give the floor to our next speaker, who is Konstantin Mogilevsky, Deputy Minister of Science and Higher Education of the Russian Federation. And of course, he knows everything about the skills and competences of some future workers, those who will take the proper place in the relations between AI and humanities. So he will certainly know what the future role of humanities and philosophy in particular, in our future world is. Distinguished participants, of course, our world has been changing very quickly, and higher education must be very flexible to provide our high-quality future. Today, artificial intelligence is an integral part of higher education system. In all fields, whether it is some training of some future employees, or the immediate application of AI in management, university management, and in many other fields. Today, it's rather difficult to find a modern university without artificial intelligence, or the one which does not use artificial intelligence. And last year, the Ministry of Higher Education, together with our leading technological companies, created a model of competences, and it included the description of the main labor roles and main occupations which are connected to artificial intelligence. And then it became the background for professional accreditation, which is conducted by the Alliance of Artificial Intelligence. And in 2022, the first programs of Higher School of Economics and Ural Federal University were accredited according to these requirements. Of course, we understand what kind of people we require, what specialists we require today, and so they must be aware of all the they must be the developers of artificial intelligence. And
Антон Андреевич Лиханов
as
учениками.
Mr. Alekhanov, Governor Alekhanov mentioned, we must be quick because our demand for AI education has not been satisfied yet. But well, today more than 6,000 people apply for such programs, educational programs, well, bachelor programs, master programs. And this year we are going to see the same enrollment. And by the way, the well, academic boards also offer some opportunities to defend PhD thesis on artificial intelligence. So, which means that this, well, about 180 universities from 64 regions of the Russian Federation develops the programs on artificial intelligence. Of course, many people feel
Сегодня искусственный интеллект
well, many people hesitate about what artificial intelligence in the higher education is, but we must question how.
студентов использовать
Well, we are not sure about how students can use artificial intelligence in their academic work, in their studies, but I would say that.
существующие риски,
Well, we certainly can see some risks, but these risks are more connected to human nature rather than academic issues. Yeah, because human always chooses the way of least least counteraction, and so of course we understand that. There are different ways how students can cheat when they study, when they work on their final papers. But I think it's not the question of artificial intelligence. It's the question of morality, and it's the issue of well, some kind of legal issue, and the issue of well, upbringing of our students. But when it comes to artificial intelligence in science in general, of course, it is about the progress and our studies, or
способен помочь, хотя есть
well, when it comes to humanities, of course, artificial intelligence is less useful if it is compared to some technical fields. But I think it's the matter of the immediate future. So we have to understand what artificial intelligence is. About 1/3 of content that is published by Bloomberg News relates to artificial intelligence application in different fields. And of course, it is really very important to understand that those people who work with artificial intelligence must understand and must know the basics of philosophy. The basics of ethics, gnoseology. That is why the issue or the content of philosophy course is really an urgent one. We know that philosophy is an integral, is a necessary obligatory discipline on all the university curricula. But we must think about the content. So it must be useful and it must be applicable, and it really must be, well, it must be a good part of any type of university education. So today we are going to discuss what kind of content the university philosophy course must have.
Thank you very much. So we expect some proposals from you on training some specialists in philosophy on historical backgrounds. So thank you. And as you know, we are at Baltic Federal University, Immanuel Kant Baltic Federal University today. This is one of the largest educational centers in Russia. Soon we will have a new campus here. You can see that it's being built here. Alexander Alexandrovich, you're a happy person to be here now because this is the period of prosperity. You're not only the rector of the university, you're a scientist. You are a scholar, you're author of many scientific works, and it was my pleasure to listen to you when you spoke about German idealism and about the critique of pure reason. And we also discussed such thing that the thought which is there starts with the organs of senses, and then our mind works, and our mind, which is guided by certain principles, will finally make some conclusions which are not available for the previous stages. So in this respect, our reason in the context of artificial intelligence is quite similar to human mind. It can be an instrument for systematization and organization of information, so that is what neural networks do nowadays. But still, we have the same human ethnical questions which stimulated Kant to think about this, to think about moral principles, which can be compared with our cognitive capabilities. And here I would like,
уровня иностранными экспертами,
so you've been
к их мнению,
you've been mentioning some foreign experts, and here I'd like to mention Elon Musk. Not so long ago, he
этого года
expressed his worries in the April of this year. He said that by the end of 2025,
если это не произойдет, появится
there will be artificial intelligence which will be smarter than any human being. So that's an ambitious statement. Also, Elon Musk called everyone to international cooperation in this field in order to provide safe and sustainable development of artificial intelligence. You remember about the technology OpenAI? It actually started as an open and friendly initiative, but then it became an closed and unfriendly model, and actually Elon Musk was excluded of this from this project. So here in Russia, we believe and we thrive to create a regulatory heavens, so to say, in order for developers to be able to develop safe technologies. My question is, what would Immanuel Kant answer to Elon Musk, who said that by the end of the next year, artificial intelligence would be smarter than any human being? So you can answer this question at the ending of your presentation. So please.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much, Dmitry. I'm happy to welcome everyone here. Today is a wonderful day for philosophy. There are a few countries in the world where you can see how a deputy chair of the government and the governor speak some philosophical things. We will not do that anymore. I apologize for that. No, please be my guest.
Вот это важная вещь, потому
That's a very important thing, because philosophy is not an exclusive trade. This is a thing which every person does, and does regularly. Today, I had a very interesting experience today. Before the starting of this plenary session, Dmitry Nikolaevich, who is a programmer, expressed his opinion on the composition of the critique of pure reason. It was quite interesting for me because he interpreted this text in the way that it's a program product which can be initiated or activated within active interaction between opponents or some other program products, and he put a question that Kant put all this in his head, and this network was extrapolated to this world. And actually I thought that really it was quite interesting for Kant. So we have gathered here, and I believe that Kant, if he were here, he would make a text which would be called Critique of Artificial reason or artificial intelligence? That's a difficult question, so that's just my hypothesis. But that would be a text where he would oppose to what is appearing before our eyes or has appeared. This is a process which is developing, which is continuing, and which is, as it has been said many times, is heading to a singularity point. Actually, Musk mentioned that it will happen soon. This is an event, hypothetical event, that artificial intelligence, in this case, generative artificial intelligence, will be smarter than the creator of it. What does it mean to be smarter? First of all, we have to try and answer this question. Will it know more? No, it's not true. It knows more now. It has what we provided it with and what it has access to. Is it similar to human being? Well, to some degree, depends on the teachers. What encyclopedias, what databases it used, what interest it has. It's a very important thing whether there will be a situation where we can say that generative artificial intelligence has its own interest. Then we start to give him characteristics which we have. And probably all the cognitive and anthropological terminology which we use about ourselves cannot be used in relation to artificial intelligence. So I'm afraid that Musk meant probably such a thing, that one day when you wake up, you will see in your mobile phone, in your on screen, on some Giga chat, a question which we don't ask the artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence ask this question to us. So this is the achievement of singularity when there will be some kind of limit. And the two worlds will separate, as in the text by Immanuel Kant wrote, and he emphasized the difference between the world of human beings and the world of nature. So we will have the third difference, the world of artificial intelligence. Should we be afraid of that? No, we should not, because we have been heading to that, and we have been trying to achieve that very insistently. So we will have a child, so to say, which will ask us questions and will be puzzling us. And I don't have an answer to the question whether the artificial intelligence will be able to create a new civilization meaning for the humankind. If it will manage to do, if it manages to do that, it will mean that our informational systems. So I would like to finish it with a hypothesis. When it does it, we will stop being interesting for artificial intelligence. So what we've been talking today, the system of restrictions which was introduced into the body and into the process of the object which we call artificial intelligence is necessary just for the case that we will develop simultaneously but not separately.
Thank you, Alexander Alexandrovich. And we are speaking about interaction between Immanuel Kant and Sigmund Freud and the possibility for them to meet here somewhere in this campus. And they might have identified different approaches to these values. And certainly they would have gave different definitions to this approach, and they would have seen it differently, whether the singularity has already has already been achieved. And if we think about the higher purpose of humanity, so then it's not about the technologies which have to define the higher purpose of humanity. So it's not like the instrument will teach us about our purpose, but certainly Kant focused on the differences between differences between humanity and the technological world. And if he happened to be here, of course, he would define it differently. So, but thank you so much for your very interesting thoughts. And we are proceeding with our plenary discussion. And our next speaker is a researcher, scientist, and a mathematician. That is the rector of Higher School of Economics, Nikita Anisimov. Higher School of Economics has more than 55,000 students. It's a huge educational institution, more than 60,000 scientists from 38 countries, and that's the real leader in artificial intelligence research. And we in the government of the Russian Federation always expect you to be the flagship of the education and to be the first ones who use different technologies in education. But so we remember that Immanuel Kant said that only because of the education the human can become a human. And so I would like to hear how artificial intelligence influences the process of education, and are you going to fight with this gray market of the student works created with the help of artificial intelligence? So that's a kind of burning issue in the education these days. Are you going to accept the student works which which are generated by neural networks, and what your attitude to the classical education is now? Thank you so much. I would like to use my privilege to be just to be a mathematician in the background. When the when Moscow University was founded, or the mathematical faculty of the university was founded, there were 3 departments, like mathematics, philosophy, and then medical and law department of Moscow University. So since, only 100 years later, there were different faculties, and Kant wrote his critique of pure reason only much later. But actually only 150 years ago, only 300 years ago, Kant said something. So, and we understand that it happened 300 years ago. And it means that his quotes are still relevant. And we still question what he said 300 years ago. And so I can apply many of his words to the interaction of Higher School of Economics with the education today, because now we are thinking how to apply artificial intelligence to our work, and I came up with some conclusions only now while I was listening to you. So I understood some truth about the artificial intelligence and our attitude to it, because the word intelligence in this artificial intelligence means that we ascribe intelligence to AI, because we produce intelligence in AI, and as soon as we recognize that it is intelligent, we expect the intellectual moves from AI. So, and that's kind of antinomy. I'm not sure that so it's the right way to analyze it. Yeah. So, but probably that's well the way that Kant could have evaluated it, because as soon as we ascribe some intelligence, as soon as we understand that it's intelligent, so we expect the same interaction as with a human being. Yeah. So then that is its evolutionary purpose, and so then it will probably develop its own program the same way as humans develop, and probably it has got some sensory organs to identify itself within this reality, and that is why our interaction with artificial intelligence is based on the code of artificial intelligence, which we mentioned. Yeah, so, and our university, of course, well, joined this or also signed up for this code of artificial intelligence. And we also have got, we initiated the system of voluntary certification. So when it comes to different artificial intelligence instruments, we require the voluntary certification, because more and more people will use artificial intelligence. So we questioned our students, and our students are happy to use the technologies in different areas, in different fields, in their everyday educational issues. And we create a lot of our Russian products, for example, some products which check or some kind of English language competence test. So we know that some international exams left Russia, like IELTS and TOEFL, and we created our own instrument which can help us evaluate the language skills. And I would say that they are even so they test people even better than the human examiners. So it gives much more precise assessment. It shows the efficiency, so the technological efficiency when it comes to multitasking or when it comes to assessment and evaluation of some particular skills. And I guess that we will integrate such artificial intelligence assessment systems in many universities, in the curricula of many universities, whether it applies to philosophical training or mathematical training, whatever training you can speak about. And we have got 19 programs on artificial intelligence, educational programs on artificial intelligence. Of course, it's more about IT students and students who relate to different mathematical skills or mathematical fields. So we know that the Higher School of Economics is always the leader in different students' competitions and skills competitions. And of course, it means that the development of technologies will go on in our countries. It's in Russia, in China, who is another leader, and another leader in different student Olympiads and so on, then India and some other countries. And of course, we cannot stop our students using the technologies. That will be a mistake. We, to the contrary, we carry out some competitions where students participate, those students who use artificial intelligence. And if you can skillfully apply artificial intelligence to your work, so that's great achievement. So if you can explain what your contribution is there and what the contribution of AI is there. So if you can explain the difference between your contribution and artificial intelligence contribution, that's great. So if you can explain that, so it's really, your achievement. So it means that you can, you can integrate AI in your research work very well. So it means that you have got enough skills which are necessary for the future development. And that's really important for our young students. We have more than 55,000 students. You have already mentioned the figure. So the students of our university and the students of secondary schools who come to us, who come to different courses. And I would say that those students, the school students, are a different generation. So they can use AI very fluently, yeah, and they use it as a natural element of educational process. And they do not see any unethical questions, unethical issues in using artificial intelligence because it's the kind of natural element of their work. And our task is to teach students how to use their own mind, not only artificial intelligence, but their own mind, because that is the real value. And so according to Kant, so the skill of using your own mind is a great skill. So that's the great human achievement. And we have to teach our students how to use it because it's a wonderful instrument. But when it comes to such illegal use of artificial intelligence to create some student papers and final papers and their thesis, probably that's the next step that we only have to consider and well, think about what we can do about it. Probably. So we have again to apply to Kant, and we have to well, just interpret it like have courage to know. And probably we have to have courage to accept the new reality, and we have to have courage to, well, to stand up for these new challenges, to rise for the new challenges.
Thank you very much. To use one's own mind and to have courage to know are very important things, of course. And the fact that artificial intelligence as a co-author of theses of students in the higher education institution is a fact. So as for ethnicity of all this, I would like to give an example of browser Yandex, which gives links to the sources. So you can use it as a artificial intelligence which you trust. So they give some links to the sources. Nikita Yurovich, I have a question. Do you have such a specialty as prompt engineering? Only as a discipline, we don't have such a specialty. Okay, I understand it depends a lot on how you have asked your question and how you can retrieve this data from a black box of artificial intelligence. Thank you. As we have already mentioned, the age of technological revolution, there should be some basis, and it should be traditional values. Otherwise, technologies could be used for manipulating, for giving, for hiding some or concealing some information. Unfortunately, we have observed this in some browsers or some search engines. It is used in some Western countries. And here we have Mr. Pishulin, who's director of the Federal Center of Humanitarian Practices of the Russian Federation. I'd like to ask a question: how this transition influence the values of human beings? Does it change the human being, and what are the threats at the at the age of introduction of artificial intelligence to strengthen cultural and valuable immunity? I would say thank you. Good morning, esteemed participants of the Congress. Those who indicate that challenges of a new technological period were before, they're right. And each time that such a transition sharpened some questions of culture, and our time is not new. The technology is new, but the moral choice is always the same for human beings. What is prioritized, convenience or the good, the human, the general human or individual? And here we have a factor of acute geopolitical opposition. I would say that collision of civilizations.
Да, механизация
Yes, the mechanization of production and usage of electricity, robotization once worried people and even put them into panic. But digital transition has a very important peculiarity. A digit does not only influence processes, it creates alternative reality. It pretends to create an entire world which is different from the world where human beings are used to living. It puts very urgently a question: what makes a human being to be a human being? Where are the limits of his own transformation? Is there a value, a core, which should be protected from the penetration of technologies? Expansion of technological innovations
и фобии
give birth to fears and phobias, and the second, some warning, which deserves some consideration. We should distinguish these two things between each other: phobias from sensible doubt.
Сегодня у нас
Today,
назначена
we
утраты человека
can see the formation of a new reality, of a new threat, of losing some biological features which have been indicators of
этой жизни.
a life for human beings for thousands of years. Will the scientific and creative opportunities be a substitution for something which we lose? What will these worlds be in a realm of some manipulations? Will people who start using these instruments first, will they
Реальные.
use it opportunity? So these threats are real. The development of technologies have given birth to
Монтированные.
some fears. Everything can be forged, imitated.
Критическое мышление, культура,
Critical thinking and culture and traditional values,
основам
adherence to the spiritual base grounds of our being is the answer to all this. These are the best armor which will help us to get into the digital epoch with preserving human
фаза новизны.
being values. When a new phase of nudity passes away, the humankind will appreciate what they have done manually.
Действует иммунитет
As immunity works in human organism,
в человеческом обществе.
the same way in the human society, in the state, there must be mechanisms of protection, of healing and restoration of the cells destroyed. The key reactions of recognition, diagnosis, and substitution are very important. They are key for the health of nation, are the key spheres. Education, labor, family, religion, and many other, and some others. Application of artificial intelligence of this field should be ethnically regulated. Immanuel Kant trusted the mind, the reason, and he believed that everything is open to it, even God. The Enlightenment time became the period of religious emancipation, when people started doing some critical investigation of key religious views. Was Kant atheistic? Some people say that he was not, and some of them say that it was Kant who opened new horizons for knowing new horizons. Schopenhauer said that Kant created God's morale.
Мудростью.
So this
Философия – это
philosophy is love of wisdom, but not of intelligence. Intelligence can be measured. We have the IQ coefficient, but we can't measure wisdom.
именно мудрость.
But it is wisdom which was highly appreciated by the people. It is mentioned in different tales or songs. So the wisdom of parents create a happy family. The wisdom of rurals strengthens a state. That's why we are talking about artificial intelligence, but we are not talking about artificial Wisdom. Wisdom is a God's gift which is given to human beings as a reward for his development and self-realization. Thank you.
Сильно. Я думаю, что
That's very powerful. I think that many words of our speakers will be remembered and discussed for a long time. So we will be interpreting and, well, thinking about it. Yeah. So, well, wisdom is the gift, and wisdom cannot be measured and analyzed. So, which is true, absolutely. So, but we have to, well, intensify, and we have to encourage the, well, human and
908
well, so we have to encourage the development of, well, this kind of this wisdom and human intelligence and our internal values. Well, Russia pays very big attention to the development of our technical and technical cooperation with our partners, with our friendly universities and partners. And I would like to introduce Sanjoy Joshi, who is the president of the Observer Research Foundation of India, so the organization which supports the development of security of economy, environment and technologies, and we are very grateful to Mr. Sanjoy for being here. And when we question the issues of artificial intelligence, we understand that humanity had already well faced such challenges, and Indian civilization is the oldest in the world, and of course you understand all the challenges of artificial intelligence development. And what do you think about this? And do you think that there are some issues which the government and the parliaments have to face when they think about artificial intelligence?
For the International Kant Congress, the 300th birth anniversary, a daunting panel and a daunting audience to boot. I apologize for being the only non-Russian speaker on this panel. So put on your translators before we go ahead. The question was raised about Elon Musk and fears of artificial intelligence. I must concede that, I had many, many years ago already admitted and conceded the fact that my smartphone was much smarter and more intelligent than me. And that was a given. But for a student of Kant, I think, it is far easier than anybody else to assume that AI can be much more easily subsumed as a part of the larger human social development process. It is part and parcel of it. Yes, AI today is very intelligent. It can simulate conversations which pass the Turing test every time. It can recognize patterns. It can create works of art. It can even kill children in Gaza. And lethal autonomous weapons can take moral decisions all the time. But the larger question, whether these abilities constitute being or existence in the way humans experience it, remains a much bigger question. Because human intelligence itself is more than just following a set of coded rules. And when we start thinking of cognition and thought and the way Kant imagined this world and Kant imagined his superstructure, human intelligence is far more than following standard operating procedures. Yes, standard operating procedures can always be delegated to very intelligent machines. It's good if they are delegated. But the fact is that standard operating procedures take you up to a certain point, not beyond it. And when we start talking about cognition today, even when researchers looking into the development of artificial intelligence are recognizing some of the problems, which are really problems to do with inactive learning, which is ultimately learning with the environment by participating in the environment, taking inputs, feedback loops, and feed-forward loops, which become very important to thinking. They are running into problems. And actually, a lot of researchers today now doing work on deep neural networks are getting back to certain Kantian ideas about what cognition really is, what intelligence really is. Fundamentally, the limitations of much of the work which has happened so far, when we start talking of research into machine learning, is how to develop an architecture that can overcome the shortcomings of existing deep neural networks. And shortcomings, there are many. So at the core of these efforts, at the real core of these efforts, lies the fundamental difference between information about reality, data about reality, truckloads of data about reality, which is really what generative AI is fed on all the time. And the other side is an experienced, lived human reality. The difference between instructional learning and experiential learning, which is very important. And I come back to my favorite story, which my teacher used to tell me when I was in college. There was a story about this old woman going to the Lord Buddha, Gautam Buddha. She had lost her husband, and 3 months after that, she lost her only son. And someone told her, there's this wise man sitting under the Bodhi tree outside the village. Please go to him, he can bring your son back to life. So this desperate woman, this was the ray of hope. She went to Buddha and said, Lord, here's my son, carried the body with her. He said, please bring him back to life. And all the Buddha said was, okay, I will bring him back to life, but just get me one fistful of millet. From the house, go to this village, get me one fistful of millet from a house which has not seen death. And I'll bring your son back to life. She was very happy. She went from house to house, knocking at every door. And by the evening, she came back. And she came back and said, Lord, make me your disciple. What had happened? She went from house to house, participated in the stories of death, of the tragedies, personal tragedies of lots of people around her, the context in which that suffering had taken place. Now that is human experiential learning. Buddha could have given her a treatise on death, why death occurred, the philosophy of death, why people die. He did not do that. To learn through experience is far more important. So this is the difference between human learning and artificial learning. Second point, we come to the bigger question of ethics. Ethics in the use of AI, we come to the larger question of creativity in AI, which we've been debating. The answer is fundamentally the same, even when it comes to, say, a lethal autonomous weapon killing children in Gaza. The morality of that, who is responsible? Now, the way in which a human operates, the way in which creativity operates, I think the idea we must understand is that the human condition really transcends mere instructions. And therefore, while generative AI can definitely accelerate creativity, can give us far more lethal weapons, it lacks the subjective experience and consciousness inherent in human cognition. And that is something which so many people in the panel have said already. Now, we're already in a world where AI more and more is and will be part of the environment we interact with. It is part of us. We use it all the time. And the artificial and the natural actually no longer operate as distinct categories. They actually operate in a continuum. It is difficult to tell where one ends and the other begins. And this, please understand, is going to be a moving continuum. It is going to keep on progressing, and the point is keep on shifting. Therefore, it makes far more sense to treat what is human and what is artificial as this continuum. And seen as a continuum, yes, it is often difficult to decide where the human ends and the artificial begins. Difficult, but it is not impossible. So thus AI-generated or assisted works, including papers written in universities, can qualify as creative endeavors, yes, and can even be protected under transformational copyright material. It can be done. There are legal problems, but similarly with the problem of attribution. Behind it, there is in this continuum the human always present. So finally, to my last point, is a decision-making intelligent machine a single entity? Is it a single identifiable entity? And this is the bigger question. Or it only exists in relation to a collective, say the information cloud, which it gathers information from. And in fact, that is what artificial intelligence is, and that is how it operates. Now, if it is not, this so-called simulated intelligence, which is artificial intelligence, is not really existing within an identifiable moral entity, and is rather the outcome of very many amorphous decisions and data points which are lying all along it. So the bigger question which arises is, with AI, given its permanent networked condition, it makes far more sense to presume, right at the beginning, this collectivist approach to the use of AI, when you try to understand AI. Capacities and capabilities ultimately within this collective are both functions and tools of the human enterprise. Let us be very clear about it. And because there can be no precise ontological or epistemological limits in separating a human's actions from the actions of his functions and the agents, therefore, when you apply this to the issue of creativity, ethics, and attributability, then to reach what is the moral point in decisions made by autonomous systems, the process of attributability can be complex, but the fact of attribution always exists. And that is a given fact. And as of now, there may be lack of comprehensive international regulations, specifically addressing the deployment and use of autonomous weapons. But the regulatory gap actually complicates efforts to establish clear rules for attribution and accountability. That is again a fact. So the bigger ethical dilemma which we really face is that how inadequately incomplete networks, which are really gated networks trained on limited data, which is prejudiced data, with deep biases in that data. Now, how do those gated networks operate? The errors they bring, the larger errors they bring into decision-making, many times. Now, that becomes the deeper question. And these are more the consequences, I think, of competitive frameworks residing within human organizations, having conflicts of interest with each other. These conflicts may arise within organizations because of just sheer competition in the marketplace. They can arise because of security threats which are perceived in the world around us. But this is become the bigger challenge as far as the deployment of AI today is concerned. So finally, in the final analysis, it is not AI which is the moral or ethical threat, but a world which challenges the notion of frameworks of collaboration and cooperation that is the real danger. And when we speak of towards a modern philosophy, which is for the new future, now that is where we need to get back into. And I'm glad that this is the central theme and the topic which you come down to discussing at this Congress. Thank you so much.
Спасибо огромное, уважаемый господин Джоши. Спасибо, что вы высоко оценили.
Thank you for your high appreciation of our discussion, and I really thank you for your thought which you expressed at the end of your speech. Of course, artificial intelligence as a technology depends on the mechanisms of cooperation, and the moral and ethical threat is born not by technology itself, but by those who use those technologies and for what purposes. Thank you very much. I believe that together we will manage to deal with these threats. We will continue our educational track, and the next speaker is Professor, Academician of the Russian Academy of Sciences, one of the leading experts in the systems of cybersecurity, Rutuna Avetisyan.
руководством разрабатывания.
And your institute is developing technologies of world level. Immanuel Kant believed that cognition starts with the senses, and then it goes to the mind, and it finishes with the reason, which can assess what it gets from the mind. So, teaching neural network from scratch looks like the work of our mind, but mind, according to Kant, is incapable of creating new knowledge, but it can only comply what it got from the experience. The same happens with the neural networks. Could you tell us, in your opinion, what are the challenges which restrict the development of artificial intelligence, and what solutions are proposed? And here we can, the governor quoted Leo Tolstoy, said that capabilities of human brain is very much limited in this case. What do you believe about that? Would you please? So, esteemed participants, I will use this opportunity, I will use this passage from Kant. Any cognition starts with experience, as far as I remember. But at the same time, he said that experience never gives our thoughts general character and true character. We must remember that one of the most complicated peculiarities of our mind. So I'm trying to give my understanding of Kant. So he said that one of the capacities of mind is to operate a priori knowledge, which is not dependent on our experience. So to think about this from technological point of view, but not from philosophical, and to answer the questions which you put, I would like to say, if Kant were alive nowadays, I would try to persuade him that modern artificial intelligence is a very good thought, which is and we don't speak here about any knowledge, and some philosophical issues which were put forward by Kant about God, about eternity are not relevant here. So I believe that we need to discuss these questions, and in our country we're front runners in this area, and on the 28th of February we modernized our strategy of development of artificial intelligence, and our strategists have always predicted what happened in the world, what developments in the world were. And we can be proud of that, because any technology, when it gets to some maturity, from the point of view of IT expert, they should be effective, productive, and you should be able to. And the third thing, which is very important from the point of view of artificial intelligence, this is security in the wide sense of this word. As for productivity and efficiency, we've been living in the world of big models, fundamental generative models of AI, so we use different terms for that. And of course, this trend will be developing. My personal point of view is that in the coming years, besides the development of the models themselves, we will need thousands and thousands specialized models which will be applied in our smartphones or some autonomous systems where we have some limited resources, because there is a need for our life. As for the trust, we should say that in the last 6 months, there were some international events, including one on the platform of UN. Then there was a conference in the end of November in Hiroshima. Before that, in the United States, we signed a special agreement between. There was an agreement between the White House and the major companies, and everywhere it was mentioned that without the technologies of trust, the trust to the artificial intelligence will be very difficult. And it's connected with two things. First of all, there is humanitarian aspect. AI is a very powerful technology which makes it possible to do social engineering at absolutely different level. I can give an example which we encountered in April when in Hong Kong, bankers lost 200 million Bangkok dollars when they transferred this money from their office in London because they couldn't understand that they were talking on the phone with generated content. So the procedures of interaction should be improved. And this is the issue of regulation. I'm not dealing with that. I deal with technological security. By the way, about the same time, there was a case in California. There was a person hit overrun by a car, and the autopilot could not understand that there was a man under the wheels of the car. So this is a principal problem of artificial intelligence. And we have already mentioned Elon Musk. I would like to say that he was asked every year when autopilot will appear. So nowadays, he says that we have an automobile with the minimum participation of a human being, but this is not autopilot. Because without special conditions, creation of special conditions, the intelligence which we use nowadays, due to the so we will need some additional mechanisms for that. And these barriers are not artificial. Of course, we can lift regulatories, but technologies will not be more trusted in this case. Fortunately, in our country, our regulators understand that very well. We have been contacting with them on those issues, and they say that regulatory should be based on scientific knowledge. We can be proud that in our strategic documents in 2021, I should, by the way, say that we have a lot of financing in our country. So in 2021, for the first time, we applied the word trust in the documentation, but we started discussing that in 2018, 2019, that this direction should be developed. In the world where we are living today, we have some challenges and barriers. First of all, speaking about barriers, these are personnel. Today we've been speaking about universities, and there is a need to increase interdisciplinary studies and to prepare personnel not in universities but through involvement in scientific research. Then second, in microelectronics, we should not put we should solve the problem of inference so that our models could work on our equipment, on our platforms, because this is the most important component in terms of security. And in some cases, we have to do that, and this task can be solved. And finally, I believe that these two tasks should be solved from the point of view of correct organization of cooperation. I'm very happy that today we have our Indian guest, our Indian colleague. I had a presentation within the meeting of BRICS, and I said that fortunately we are working now together because we can't outcome different challenges if we work by oneself alone. So it's impossible to do that only within one country, only jointly, only making a right collaboration.
Когда в позиции
When
программного обеспечения
in the repository of open
там 5 миллионов
software there were
совместно
nowadays there are more than 100 million people. They are creating artificial intelligence, and when we are talking about artificial intelligence, all this is done with this joint work. Half a year ago I said that new models appeared, and I said that if we do not open
дискуссионно
it,
обсуждается, и Сбербанк,
it will be
и вроде как обсуждается, что
Nowadays, we are thinking about opening other models, because nowadays there are open models of quite a good level. For example, Mistral.
эту энергию
There will be new ones. And this energy of collaborative economy, we should organize correctly within our country so that it could help us, but not to destroy what we are building at the moment. The fact that we are here today, it's fantastic. About 10 years ago, I participated in a conference like this one, and people spoke there. Then in some years, there will be virtual reality. We will be using some devices, high devices, and and I can see now that every year in my institute
что эти вопросы все-таки уходят на второй.
that these issues do not go into the background. So we have gathered here to discuss these issues. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for inviting me and for sharing my point of view with you. Our country has a great cultural power, has very strong mathematical schools, and all the problems which I mentioned, and the transition from
более высоком уровне.
thinking based on experience without mathematics is impossible. So I should say that we are front runners in this field, and we have everything
Вызовы
to meet these challenges. And after 2030, we will see what we will achieve. I will not look further.
Похлопаем. А в 30 году в пятерку должны войти, так на вас.
So we must be within the 5 top leaders in 2030. So that's our hope. Thank you so much for your welcome address and for your presentation. And so, yeah, we do hope that we will see our technology actively working in the future, and it's the trust to our model, and it's the security and reliance on the model that you have created. So when you can open it and you can see the inside of the model or the technology, and you rely on it. So, and of course, we can achieve it only in collaboration with other countries, and countries have been expecting this collaboration, but these must be the countries with similar values, and they must create future technologies on the background of shared values and the data that are accepted in our countries and in our civilizations. And so in conclusion, I would ask our distinguished speakers, so I will start with you, get ready please, and I would ask our students, speakers to take a part in our exercise. In one exercise, you have to answer the question. And of course, it will be much more difficult for the last speaker to answer this question. Because all the others will have already spoken before him. So what are the main human values which are necessary to become the background of artificial intelligence? So, and then we will ask our 3 models the same question, and we will see who will be the winner. So like 30 questions, 30 seconds, no longer. Well, that's very complicated question. So our first value is do not harm. The second one? I think this sensitive that Kant was speaking about. So it's better to protect this sensitive and leave it as the human foundation. Like humanism and sensitive must be protected and taken care of. I would add the idea to serve the common good. Anton Alekhanov.
Уважение и любовь
Respect and tolerance to something else, not to yourself, but to somebody else. I think there is a specific value which is called future. So I think that future must become the common space for the artificial intelligence.
Нравственный закон.
The moral law.
Лаконично.
Very laconic and very, very short.
And empathy.
Спасибо. Симпатия, эмпатия. Отлично.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really great. Thank you. And let's have a look at our three neural networks, what they said. So the role, prompt is the same, philosopher Immanuel Kant. So the context is the, speech, for the audience on the occasion of his 300 years anniversary. So, and the question, Yandex.
Свободы и морали.
So the values of mind, freedom, and moral, so that they serve the humanity but do not harm it. So the main values which must become the background of AI development are freedom, justice, and equality, and the rights and freedoms of everybody must be respected, irrelevant of their gender, race, and faith. For me, as the philosopher, it is important to see artificial intelligence which complies with the moral values, moral principles, and respect to human life. At the same time, I think that the developers must consider ethical and social consequences to prevent some conflicts and problems in the future. Thank you so much. Well, we are grateful to our neural networks, and we are grateful to all the participants of this first session of Kantian Congress. So, of course, we will see further discussions, and so, by the way, the discussions are the best expression of respect to our great philosopher. So his principles can be applied to artificial intelligence, and we, Dina Rigina has chosen, Kantbot as the winner of this contest, and I think it's not just a random choice, and it's not just a coincidence. And but you see that this artificial neural network mentioned the same values as our speakers did. So we remember that we have got the code of artificial intelligence, and it is developed on the background of the human-centric approach. And we invite everybody to join the code and this new civilizational sense, which we have been speaking about, focuses on the interaction between the human mind and human existence and the technologies. To counteract the risks, we must use different forms of regulations, like soft regulations, interdisciplinary teams, the shared solutions, on the background of the efficiency. So that these are all the aspects that we have to consider and analyze. And we have been developing the unified system of AI evaluation or AI systems evaluation. And we have got some pilot areas where we are testing these evaluation systems. And so I guess that all the results of our discussions discussed today will be considered in our future decisions. And we will certainly think about the shared human system and shared system of human values. And well, we will use the value immunity system, which can be very helpful in protecting our values and our main goals. And so we are looking forward to having these 3 days of discussions, and I wish everybody a fruitful life, fruitful work, and very enriching communication. And at the end, so let us check the voting. So what about the... about 80% of our audience think that artificial intelligence is more of possibility than threat. So let's congratulate ourselves on that.